What makes great content is the content itself.
Don't leave him.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another amazing episode of Breakdown at 35mm. So on this episode of Breakdown, we are going to be breaking down our recent film, I Am Alone.
I'm alone and no one is looking for me.
To kick things off, Timothy, tell us the idea behind the film.
Basically, there's nothing serious about it. It's just a feeling, and then put it into words. I thought it was relatable as much, so.
That's why people started sending you a lot of messages.
I remember a lot of people were sending me, Timothy, hope all is well.
No. See, it's not deep, verified, but I just felt it was something relatable that everybody could relate to. So put it down, and then we went from there.
Absolutely, I really agree with you on that. It gets to the point as adults where people just reach out to you mostly when they need stuff from you. And it kind of begins to kind of feel transactional where if you don't need something, don't reach out. And when you shared the idea with the team, like working on the project, we just thought, I can relate to this. Israel can relate to this. He can relate to this. And I'm saying, you can relate to it all. I'm happy you are loved everywhere. So, it just felt like this is a story to create, but it's fine. Timothy is very fine. Okay, so now let's break down the technical bits. We had 3 scenes in the entire film, and let's take it first step by step. So for the first scene, it was the bedroom scene.
For this bedroom scene, we're just trying to get the guy waking up. After he woke up, put up the alarm and everything, it was also to show that, I am alone part, where he got the messages and he thinks he's alone, but he's not. People are actually looking for him, but not really. Every morning starts like this for most people. They wake up and they have to get to work.
Check their phone.
They check their phone, and then people are looking for them for real because they have to work and get things done. So it's just what it is. I thought it was relatable, and I feel a lot of people get to feel this as well. We had different angles and we shot them at different times. So we had the top-down shot. At the top-down shot, we had in the phone, the alarm was for 5:25. For the close-up, it was 5 minutes later. So I had to fix that in post. I mean, don't do that at home. Try to be consistent across the board, because that way you spend less time in post doing stuff. So in post, I took it to Photoshop and then tracked it to the phone. And when we moved on, you see that the time was another time, 5:46. But I mean, we were trying to show that time had passed, stuff like that. But for that particular point where he woke up and then he had to turn off the alarm, the alarm that was ringing from the top was 5:25. The one that was closed up was 5:30. We had to fix that. So yeah.
And honestly, it's many of these little attention to details that makes your film look a lot more polished, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times when we watch films, people will start nitpicking and being like, for instance, Game of Thrones, they were under fire because somebody saw a Starbucks cup on Game of Thrones set. There's another one I saw recently that somebody was using an iPhone to record a video. So it's all this little attention to detail that helps to make your videos more polished.
Yeah.
And another thing that we also did in the video was visual effects. But because this is a film, it is not a social media highlight video, right? You don't want to go overboard with the effect, but you also want to keep it engaging enough. This scene itself was kind of slow. You were just waking up. It was just getting the stuff done. And it got notifications. Ideally, what we wanted to do was a close-up of the phones and notifications popping up. However, his phone.
However, he means to say that we thought it would be visually appealing to do visual effects.
This was after the fact.
No. It was the original idea.
Wow.
I disagree.
Can't
prove it. Can't prove it.
No, we can't. If you look at the phone, you see that notifications they pop.
Notifications refuse to pop up. Anyway, so to make it a little bit more interesting, we decided to put visual effect. And what we did was in post-production, of course, this visual effect is not pop like this on the phone in real time. In post-production, aligned the elements and I just, popped it up. Just something interesting and nice so that you can still see the scene clearly. And at the same time, you can also see the notifications without anyone distracting each other and the story doesn't break. Now, this particular scene has a very beautiful color palette. It's mostly teal and orange, right? So Israel, can you walk us through how we're able to achieve that?
For this scene, we majorly used 2 lights, but we added one more later on. Now, the lights coming from outside was the Xiaoyun Molos B300. Now, that one, we used it to simulate what the moon would be. So we took the Molos to 6,000 Kelvin or higher to get the cool looking feel of the moon, right? Then inside the room, we had another source of light, the Photo P160. And we had that at 2,800 Kelvin. So that was warm. And the light coming from outside was cool. Now, by the time you skip ahead to when he sits up, we had to bring in another light in front of the camera to illuminate his face, which is the third light, and we used the Photo T40C to
It's a small
achieve
pocket
this. So
light.
the pocket light, so we just used it to, kind of illuminate his face so that he doesn't merge into the background. So it was just a very simple scene. And these shots were done with the Canon R6 Mark II.
Yeah. And in this scene that we're looking at right now, where we have the arm alone, if you look further back in the scene, you would also see like some blue lights coming in through the corridor and stuff. That was actually house lights. So our white balance was set in such a way that the white lights were appearing really blue. So even the light further in the house was also appearing really blue. So that's why understanding white balance is really key, because you can really use it to create like some really beautiful depth. So every white light in the space was appearing blue, and then warm lights were actually appearing warm. And it gave us a really, I think camera was set to a 12 around 3,000 something. So that warm light was still warm, but white light was like blue. And all these strips of light we have on his face in the beginning scene were all because the light was coming through the window. So this is what you achieve typically if you have like a gobo and stuff. But we don't need a gobo because we're actually shooting through stuff, and it was just really interesting.
And one more thing, you might not really see it, but we added a little bit of haze into the room.
Yeah, it was very obvious in the scene with the notifications because there was this volumetric feel that was in the space that, thanks to haze, we're able to tell of that. And I think one more interesting thing we tried to do on this scene is, I think it's called a snorkel cam. Put the text here, snork something cam, right? And what that does is when you attach the camera on a tripod to someone, so typically they used to show like actual POV of someone. So we wanted that rising shot where he got from the bed up to be like, to move with him, to the camera to move with him. So in this scene, we wanted to do with him, but because he was lying down and he had to go up, it was a little bit difficult to do. So Israel held on the tripod, and then we just simulated it with his movement, and then I was holding the light to light his face when he got to the close-up. And that was how we were able to get the alone shots, right? And then something interesting began to happen. So tell us about the match cuts that took us from this point to the office.
So we were trying to, show his movements throughout the day. And for us to be able to achieve that, we had to make use of AI, and which I think is really, really cool because AI is here to stay and is something we should try to incorporate into our workflow as much as possible. Obviously, that would have taken a whole production and a whole thing because if you know Lagos, shooting here is not
I have to
easy.
set to 1 or 2 Agberos.
Yes. So we used the last frame of that stuff, and then we just moved it into the shower. And then for the other scenes, from the breakfast to when he's in the bus and when he's at the bus stop, we took it from the scene that was going to come after, which was from the office. So we just took the office scene. Since it was late, it felt like daytime, and wanted to portray those other ones as daytime. So we just took the first frame from there, and then we imputed it and just put him in these different spaces, and then animated it, and it was really cool. Shout out to InVideo AI.
We've been doing a lot of collaborations with InVideo lately, and as a creator, there are practical reasons why you would want to integrate AI into your workflow, right? This is a short film that we're creating by ourselves, so of course, budget was very limited. Also, it was able to help us to save time because if we had to go out and shoot the bus stop scene, the downfall scene, The shower scene. The shower scene.
Oh.
It would have been it would have been a lot. Also, wanted to create a match cut between each scene. So the whole process of getting the last frame lined up perfectly for the next frame and then doing that frame after frame after frame would have taken so much time. So it was practically useful for us to go the AI route with this. And our philosophy of film is show don't tell, right? We could have said he got up, he took a shower, he ate food, that doesn't have to be a 2 minute, 3 minute long sequence, right? Boom, 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 boom. You fill up the rest in your mind, and that's also what makes your film more engaging, right? You don't have to say everything, just show it, and people can fill in the blanks. Now, when we got to the office, the idea was simple. Let Israel break this down for us in terms of what the sequence was and what the lighting was.
So this was a very simple sequence, right? It's meant to look like time passing, time lapse, where he keeps getting work and you visually see that the work keeps piling up. The idea for this scene was to light it up and it not look as if it was lit.
Yeah.
So it's meant to look like
Like
an
a
office.
bright office space.
So what we did here a lot of was bounce the light up, because in this space the walls are white, the roof is white, so everything is white. So once you let the light up, it just becomes
Scatters
volumetric,
everywhere.
so it goes everywhere.
Having a white wall is a serious cheat code if you're trying to just create like volumetric feel, right? Because literally every surface now becomes a reflector, right? A white reflector.
Yeah.
So this part leads us beautifully to the really interesting part of the scene, right? So I'll let Timothy take it away.
So basically, from the office scene, we're trying to show like despair and him just falling into the wormhole of work and being alone and all that kind of stuff. For us to be able to achieve that, we used AI to transition everything properly. So this was our start frame, and then we had to shoot an end frame. I was able to first of all rotoscope that so that I removed the entire background, and then use that as the end frame so that we can have a smooth transition from this moment to that moment. And then we shot a top down, like a POV of him. But then to make this part a little bit more interesting, we added like mixed media, which we also generated with AI, just following his movement, to show that he has in different spheres of life and everything, all the value that he can provide and all that kind of stuff. He's still alone in that kind of space. And then we now did a very glorious shot. I think that was my favorite shot of the whole thing. It just looked so good, right? Same thing, me on a chair, did like I was falling. Yeah, then we did it in post and then, keyframing here and there just to make sure everything is good. Yeah. And that was that.
So interestingly, also another thing I wanted to mention was that there's this conception as well that when you're working with AI, you just let it just do its thing. Like I say, create a floating man. I mean, it would create a floating man, but it probably will not be the floating man that you want, right? More and more, we are seeing AI more as like a collaborative partner in your creative expression. So for this kind of transition to go from like the office to a dark place, we're about to do some zacking kind of stuff, like maybe done like a movable table on like hydraulics and stuff and all that. But again, because we did a lot of pre-production, we knew what our first frame was going to be and what our last frame was going to be. So we were able to get all that file and feed it into AI, and it saved us a lot of time and energy. And that's how we shot the film, right? It was a fun project, right? And the beauty of this kind of project is because there's no deliverable, we're not delivering for anybody. So we have the creative liberty to experiment with lighting, with techniques, with AI, with all of these things. And we had fun creating this. Right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So, any last words as we close out this particular breakdown?
If you have the idea, just shoot it and don't stress too much about technicalities, I guess. You can make it as simple as possible. Just find ways that you can make it work. I know we wanted to have so many different scenes here. Even at the beginning when we were conceptualizing, but then we brought everything in and then made it as simple as possible. Because at the end of the day, what makes great content is the content itself.
Yeah,
Don't leave him.
So it's not really always about, I mean, all these things matter, but it's not always about those things. If the story is not good, I mean,
it's not good.
It's not good.
He said you should not worry too much. If you can, make sure you do it. it's one thing for you to have a great story. It's another thing for it to be a great story and for it to look good
Visually
and sound
appealing.
good. So if you can, make sure you do. But don't die on that hill.
In the spirit of not dying on that hill, right? You're not making the video because you don't have the biggest camera, right? For instance, we shot all of these on the R6, Canon R6 Mark II. The initial plan was to shoot this on the Blackmagic Ursa Mini 12K, right? Because we had that, but because of what the technical things we wanted to do, we just shoot on the Canon R6 Mark II. If we're trying to figure out and fight and find a way to shoot it on the bigger camera, we probably wouldn't have shot it till now, right? And because we shot it like this, the day we have bigger crew, bigger budgets, bigger talents, then we know what we have done and we can expand it up. So do what you can with what you have and, just create the next best story. But create a beautiful story because that is always king. All right? Till we come your way next time, learn, create, grow, and be a part of the community.
Yeah.
Peace out.